In an underground morgue facility, a senior pathologist complains about cleanliness and orders his associate to pour old chemicals down the sink, despite this being illegal. The reluctant associate eventually complies after the pathologist threatens his job.
That's an order. So, start pouring.
These chemicals flow through the sewage system and eventually reach the Han River. As time passes, people begin noticing strange creatures in the water but pay little attention to potential dangers. One day, a salaryman contemplating suicide spots a large shadow moving under the water's surface before jumping in. Later, news reports show the man's body recovered with half of it missing, as if something had bitten him. We meet Gang Du, the son of convenience store owner Hee Bong. Gang Du isn't very good at his job and frequently falls asleep while working. His father is constantly disappointed in him and tells him to wake up and take care of customers. Despite his laziness, Gang-do deeply loves his daughter Hyun, even though she, like everyone else, doesn't think much of her father. The family watches television together, cheering for Gang-do's sister Nam-ju, a national archery champion competing for first place. Working at his family's convenience store, Gang-do has perfected the art of sleeping with his eyes open. Employee of the month material if you run a mattress store. One day, Gang-do brings food to customers, but notices everyone is staring at the river. They spot a strange creature hanging beneath a bridge. The mysterious animal moves around before dropping into the water. Curious onlookers move closer to the riverfront, and Gang-do throws a beer can at the creature, which quickly pulls it underwater. Encouraged, others begin throwing garbage into the river until the creature disappears, leaving only trash floating on the surface. Just as Gang-do is about to leave, the giant creature suddenly emerges from the water and charges toward the crowd, knocking people into the river. Everyone runs in panic while the monster tramples spectators and attacks them furiously. Gang-do tries warning people to run, but gets knocked over by the giant beast. The creature continues toward a population center while everyone flees, looking for shelter. The monster charges into a mobile container where people are hiding, turning it into what one might call a giant lunchbox, as it devours everyone inside. An American soldier tries to help Gang-do free people, but the monster rushes out of the room, leaving it drenched in blood. They chase after the monster, trying to stop its rampage, but nearly get killed when the soldier is badly wounded by the creature. Gang-do attempts to save the man by hitting the monster's tail, but his attacks prove ineffective as the creature turns and forces Gang-do to retreat. Hyun walks outside the convenience store looking for her father, only to find everyone has vanished. Gang-do quickly grabs who he thinks is his daughter and runs for safety, but in the chaos, he realizes he's grabbed the wrong person. He turns around in horror to see the monster charging toward his actual daughter, seizing her and taking her away. The creature jumps into the river and swims to the other side. Gang-do desperately tries to follow, but can only watch helplessly as his daughter is carried into the water. The military soon arrives to secure the area, and people mourn their lost family members at a large community funeral in a shelter. Hyun's uncle, Nam-il, arrives with tears in his eyes after hearing about his niece's apparent death. The family embraces each other and collapse to the floor in grief, but instead of offering comfort, news reporters surround them and take pictures like vultures. These news photographers at the funeral have all the sensitivity of paparazzi at a celebrity breakdown. They've mistaken human tragedy for a photo opportunity. A government worker in a biohazard suit enters the shelter and asks who made physical contact with the creature. People hesitate to admit involvement, but after repeated questioning, some raise their hands, including Gang-do, who fears legal consequences. More workers in yellow protective suits rush in, attempting to quarantine identified families. They forcibly take Gang-do away, while his family begs them to stop. It's revealed that the American soldier who helped Gang-do survived the monster's attack, but became sick from a virus supposedly carried by the creature. The government withdraws military forces and deploys specialized teams trained to handle viral outbreaks. When Gang-do and his family arrive at the hospital, they're surprised by the lack of proper quarantine measures, as even the doctors aren't wearing masks. That night, Hee-bong receives a phone call that he immediately identifies as coming from his granddaughter. Gang-do tries asking for her location, but the signal cuts out suddenly as the rest of the family wakes up. Meanwhile, the monster continues attacking people, killing quarantine workers and bringing them back to its nest in the sewers, where it stores them for later consumption. Hyun, who is still alive, sneaks out from a drainage opening and examines a worker the monster has brought in. The man died from drowning, as water spills from his lungs. Hyun finds a cell phone on the body, but it no longer works after being submerged. Back at the hospital, Gangdu tries convincing police that his daughter is alive, but the officer thinks he's delusional and requests a psychiatric evaluation. Realizing his daughter might be starving, the family plans an escape from the hospital, but is immediately recognized due to Gangdu's distinctive blonde hair. They run to the elevator and into the parking garage, where gangsters in a vehicle arranged earlier pick them up. The family successfully escapes while a police officer futilely chases them on foot. The gangsters charge Hee-bong an exorbitant amount for the rescue, providing guns and a government vehicle to help them blend in. Hee-bong has no choice but to surrender all his savings, including credit cards. They drive toward a police checkpoint and attempt to pass through, but a police captain recognizes them as hospital escapees. With no alternatives, Hee-bong bribes the officer with their remaining money. The family begins searching every sewer system they can find on their maps, but the area is vast, and they have no idea where exactly Hyun might be. Nam-il complains they'll never find her through blind searching, but his sister tells him to stop griping as they have no better options. While exploring the sewers, the family notices movement ahead and readies their guns. Nam-ju feels water dripping on her from the ceiling, and they fire multiple shots before realizing it was nothing threatening. However, 2 homeless boys had been hiding by the walls and escape after nearly being shot by the family. The older of these homeless boys later decides to steal food from the nearest convenience store, which happens to be the one Gangdu's family owns. The younger boy, Si-ju, wants to take money too, but his brother stops him, saying they should only take what they need to survive. After gathering bags of food, they exit the store only to see the monster charging toward them from under the bridge. The boys run desperately for their lives with the creature in close pursuit. Later, Hee-bong returns to their store and notices the forced entry, but pays it little attention. The family continues having dinner, imagining Hyun is still with them. Meanwhile, in the monster's lair, Hyun gathers water from the sewers for survival. When she sees the monster approaching, she quickly pretends to be dead. The creature drops off the boys it captured earlier, and Hyun notices the younger brother, Si-ju, is still alive. She does her best to protect him from the monster. Hyun's babysitting gig in a monster's sewer lair would make one killer entry on her resume. Childcare experience includes protecting kids from mutated river creatures in extreme conditions. After some time, Gangdu spots the creature outside their store. Hee-bong tries shooting it, but misses. The monster charges, pushing against the structure until it flips the entire building while the father continues firing. When the attack stops, the family emerges to find the creature lying wounded from the gunshots. Nam-il fires at the monster, causing it to retreat toward the river with the family in pursuit. They quickly run out of ammunition as the creature jumps into the water. Hee-bong tells everyone to stay back as Gangdu hands him the gun, with supposedly 1 bullet remaining. The monster swims toward the family, while Nam-ju tries hitting it with arrows. The creature charges at Hee-bong, who pulls the trigger only to discover the gun is empty. Gangdu miscounted. Hee-bong calmly tells his family to run as the monster tramples him, grabbing his leg and smashing him against the ground while everyone watches in horror. Gangdu rushes to his father's lifeless body and weeps, but they can't linger as police approach. He tells his siblings to continue searching for Hyun and covers his father's face with newspaper. Unable to leave due to overwhelming grief, Gangdu is captured by police officers. That night, Nam-il visits a friend who works at a phone company to help locate Hyun's last call. They find her location, but the friend betrays Nam-il by informing police to claim reward money. Nam-il escapes by turning off the lights and locking his pursuers inside. He jumps under a bridge to evade police and texts his sister Hyun's location before passing out from injuries sustained in his fall. Nam-ju notices her brother's message and runs toward the sewer where her niece is hiding. As she approaches the entrance, while calling Gang Du about the location, she spots the monster charging toward her. She tries shooting it, but gets knocked into a ditch, which fortunately prevents the beast from reaching her. After learning his daughter's location, Gang Du attempts escaping the hospital, but is stopped by doctors performing painful experiments on him. The lead researcher reveals there is actually no virus. The government created this story to distract from the monster's true origins. Overhearing this conversation, the doctors prepare to lobotomize Gang Du. To silence him, in the sewer, Hyun comforts Si-ju by asking him to imagine what they'll eat after escaping. She creates a rope from victims' clothing with a police baton tied to one end, making a crude grappling hook. Before they can escape, the monster returns, forcing them into hiding. They watch in disgust as the creature regurgitates bones from humans it has consumed. Though the monster detects the children, they manage to hide in wall crevices beyond its reach. Gang Du takes a doctor hostage and escapes outside, only to find officers relaxing and having a barbecue as if on vacation. He steals a vehicle by threatening his hostage and races toward his daughter's location. Meanwhile, Nam-il awakens, after being rescued by a homeless man whom he convinces to help save Hyun. They prepare Molotov cocktails from alcohol bottles to fight the monster. Hyun wakes from hiding and notices Si-ju becoming ill. She sees the monster sleeping, attempts running for the rope ladder, but is quickly caught and returned to the floor. Seeing Si-ju outside their hiding place, she runs toward him, trying to save him as the monster pursues them. Gang Du arrives at the nest and finds it filled with bones, but no sign of his daughter. Suddenly, he sees the monster pass by, with an arm dangling from its mouth, and chases it alongside his sister, who has regained consciousness. They follow the creature as it swims through the river toward protesters on shore who are demonstrating against the quarantine and alleged government experiments. The crowd notices the approaching monster and scatters in terror. Police open fire as the creature reaches land, while military personnel release gas that appears to stun and immobilize it. Gang Du rushes toward the monster's mouth, desperately trying to extract his daughter. He pulls out both Hyun and Si-ju, whom she still clutches protectively, but realizes with overwhelming sorrow that his daughter died long ago. Gang Du carries her toward his family, and they weep as they embrace Hyun's lifeless body. Consumed by vengeance, Gang Du attacks the monster with a metal pole. Nam-il throws Molotov cocktails, though he fails to land direct hits. The homeless man climbs atop the creature and pours gasoline over it while it watches in confusion. Namju prepares a flaming arrow and shoots the monster, setting it ablaze. In the ensuing chaos, as the creature tries returning to water, Gang Du delivers a fatal stab from behind a post. The monster collapses with its final breath and dies, burning. Gang Du discovers the boy his daughter tried protecting is still alive and carries him to safety while surveying the destruction around them. Sometime later, Gang Du has adopted Si-ju as his own son. They have dinner together in the rebuilt convenience store by the river while television news criticizes the government's handling of the incident. They continue their lives as winter approaches, with snow beginning to fall outside their windows.